Hello, welcome to MX Network News. I'm Dashan Farad. Well, the Trump saga continues. A federal judge in Florida on Thursday ordered the U.S. Justice Department to make public a redacted version of an affidavit underpinning the August 8th FBI search of former President Donald Trump's Florida home, possibly providing fresh insights on the investigation and evidence earlier obtained by the government. U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart ordered the redacted document to be released by noon on Friday. His order came just hours after a Justice Department spokesman confirmed that prosecutors had submitted a sealed copy of the affidavit with proposed redactions to the judge. Reinhart approved the Justice Department's warrant that preceded the FBI search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Palm Beach. The affidavit is a sworn statement outlining the evidence that gave the department probable cause to seek a search warrant. Just how much the redacted affidavit will reveal remains to be seen. In his order on Thursday, Reinhart said the Justice Department had valid reasons to keep some of the documents secret, including the need to protect the identities of witnesses and federal agents, as well as the government's investigation and strategy and grand jury material. The FBI, in its court-approved search at Mar-a-Lago, carried away more than 20 boxes containing 11 sets of classified government records, some of which were labeled top secret. The search was part of a federal investigation into whether Trump illegally removed and kept documents from the White House when he left office in January 2021, and whether he tried to obstruct the government's investigation. After Trump accused the FBI of political retribution against him, Attorney General Merrick Garland made the unusual decision to confirm the existence of the department's investigation and asked the court to unseal large portions of the search warrant and property receipt listing the seized items. The department declined to release the affidavit, prompting media companies to file a legal challenge to get it unsealed. At a hearing last week, prosecutors asked Reinhart not to release the document, saying it could harm their ongoing investigation and chill witness cooperation, as well as create security risks for FBI agents already facing heightened threats. Reinhart first signaled last week that he did not believe the entire document needed to be kept under wraps, and he asked the Justice Department to provide him a copy with proposed redactions for his review. Trump on social media called for the document to be unsealed, though his lawyers had not weighed in on the matter. He has filed a separate civil case asking another judge to halt the FBI's review of the seized records pending the appointment of a special master to independently review them for materials that could be protected under executive privilege, a legal principle that lets a president shield some information. U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon has asked Trump's legal team to file a more targeted request by Friday that better explains what relief the former president is seeking and why his request should not be sent instead to Reinhart. President Joe Biden on Wednesday made an announcement regarding student loan debt that the White House said should have a major effect on black borrowers in particular. In addition to canceling up to $10,000 for people with federal student loan debt, Biden said his administration would also cancel up to an additional $10,000 for Pell Grant recipients.
All this means people can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt to get on top of their rent and their utilities.
Borrowers eligible for their debt to be canceled must earn less than $125,000 annually or $250,000 for married couples who file joint taxes. In addition to the student loan debt cancellation, Biden also said he intends to extend the pause on federal student loan debt payments through the end of the year. The current pause on payments is set to expire at the end of the month. Pell Grant recipients are disproportionately black, according to the most recent statistics. The White House boasted that Wednesday's announcement means the average black borrower will have a significant reduction in their student loan debt, and some may even have all their debt forgiven as a result. Congress can still take action, however, to do more than $10,000, but it's unlikely that the narrow Democratic control in the Senate will yield meaningful relief before the upcoming election. The day after Torrance, California police shot Christopher DeAndre Mitchell in 2018, his mother and a dozen of his loved ones staged a protest outside the department's headquarters. At the same time, a group of officers, including the two who had killed Mitchell, were discussing the situation via text message. According to court documents, one writes, quote, was going to tell you all those N-word family members are all pissed off in front of the station. Court records show the officers later mused about what might happen once the identities of those who shot the 23-year-old became public. 8 months ago, a Los Angeles Times investigation revealed portions of racist and homophobic text messages exchanged by at least a dozen Torrance police officers, a scandal that sparked an investigation by the California Attorney General's office. Criminal cases in which the officers were involved continued to be dismissed, and at least one man has been released from prison. Lawsuits filed against officers involved have already cost Torrance more than $10 million. Still, most of the officers implicated remain employed by the city. The state attorney general's office filed a subpoena in May for thousands of pages of Torrance police records, but officials have declined to provide updates on the state investigation. Despite critics' calls for a civilian board to oversee the police department, as Los Angeles has, there's little evidence that Torrance officials have taken tangible steps toward reform since the scandal exploded. And earlier this year, another trove of offensive texts came to light. In response to a court filing from officers implicated in the scandal, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office submitted an exhibit containing all 390 anti-Semitic, racist, homophobic, or transphobic remarks allegedly made by the officers between 2018 and 2020. The documents, which were heavily redacted, included the comments about Mitchell's loved ones and contained racist cartoons of Black and Latino residents, as well as remarks about lynching suspects and killing Black children. Officers have long been trying to suppress evidence of the texts, which were found last year shortly before prosecutors charged former Torrance police officers Christopher Tomsick and Cody Weldon with spray painting a swastika inside a car. A search warrant executed as part of that case found Tomsick, Weldon, and at least 15 other officers had been exchanging racist, violent, and homophobic messages for years, according to court records. The officers' attorneys argued the search went way beyond the scope of the criminal investigation, so most of the text should be barred from use in prosecutions or internal disciplinary hearings. Ironically, it was that move to suppress the text that made them available after the district attorney's office filed its report on the messages in court. If the city doesn't act soon, other officers implicated in the texting scandal could avoid discipline. Under state law, officers generally must face discipline within 1 year of their agency learning about alleged misconduct. Records show the district attorney's office recovered all of the racist messages last August, though it's unclear when Torrance officials reviewed them. Police Chief Jeremiah Hart declined to comment. Sergeant Mark Panagalek, a Torrance police spokesman, declined to answer questions from the news agencies, citing ongoing investigations. But he insisted the agency is working hard to reform and noted Torrance police have held meetings with state investigators and provided them with roughly 100,000 pages of documents. Those affected by the officers under investigation said the seeming lack of action in Torrance is terrifying, but not surprising. World-renowned investigative journalist and Pulitzer Prize winner Nikole Hannah-Jones will be introducing a brand new seminar to Howard University this fall. The creator of the 1619 Project, an initiative that launched a nationwide discussion on the role of slavery and how it has influenced the fabric of this nation, announced Monday that she will be bringing those same teachings to the Mecca of historically Black colleges and universities. Last year, Hannah-Jones was involved in a public tenure battle with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. After UNC finally agreed to grant her tenure following a controversial back and forth played out in the press, Hannah-Jones shocked everyone by deciding that she would accept a similar position offered by Howard. The New York Times journalist is now looking to establish her impact on the next generation of Black students at one of the most prominent HBCUs in the nation.
Well, until very recently, my expectation was that I would remain at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill as well. As I've said, this is my alma mater. I wasn't seeking to go into academia. It was this particular job at this particular place that I wanted to go and give back to the university that helped me build the career that I've built.
The course will be open to all students and could have a significant impact in opening up the minds of young and talented Black individuals and help shape future leaders. She said in a recent interview with Gayle King, quote, I've spent my entire life proving that I belong in elite white spaces that were not built for black people.
A couple of things. I didn't have any idea the extent to which political interference had led to my being denied the tenure that every other Knight professor before me had achieved. All of them being white, me being the only black woman. I certainly didn't know that the school's largest donor had been on a campaign against me behind the scenes. And then I think the final thing was, even with the actions of the Board of Trustees, had the university's leadership stood up and spoken out and publicly supported tenure as the right thing to do, then I would have felt that this was a place that I could probably still come and do great things at. But none of those things happened, and as other colleges were reaching out to me, I made the decision pretty early on that if I wasn't going to the University of North Carolina, I was going to go to a historically black college.
I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, that black professionals should feel free and actually perhaps an obligation to go to our own institutions and bring our talents and resources to our own institutions and help to build them up as well. I'm Dashawn Farad. You're watching MX Network.